Welcome
All right.
to the RDU Buzz, where we talk each week about things happening, all things Raleigh related to news, restaurants, recreation in the area, and any kind of developments that we think might be interesting to you.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. I hope y'all have had a good week so far. It is now March, which is honestly one of my favorite times of the year. We finally get out of winter, in our area at least. So if you're local, you're experiencing this where the weather is, mid 60s today, sunny. The flowers are blooming. It's just I love this time of year. So
Yeah, I would like it to be April or May, a
yeah,
little warmer, but it was beautiful today. It was like 70 degrees. It was great because yesterday
yeah,
was raining. So today was lovely. But
yeah.
as you guys tune in, we would love to know where you're watching from, whether you're watching live right now or watching the replay. We love to see where everyone is tuning in from. I think it's always so interesting and kind of bizarre how far away some people are sometimes that are considering moving here. So I
Yeah,
love,
yeah, and local, and
yeah,
local.
and some people that are
I
local.
love I
Yeah.
love seeing the local folks
Yep,
tune
yeah,
in
from
as
all
well.
over. So yeah, definitely let us know where you're watching from, and we're excited you're with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. So tonight, tonight we're going to kick it off with some housing market data and some housing market updates, and then we're going to kind of dig into some what I think are some pretty cool developments, specifically one development that we're going to talk about. But so Housing Wire, which is a real estate, I guess, news company. Would you
Yeah,
describe it that
I
way?
would say that.
So they bought a company called Altos Research. They own Altos Research. They're a housing data company. So they put out a lot of housing market research, and they put out an article on the 4th, which I guess was Monday. And it was inventory. This is national inventory. This is not local
Yeah,
inventory.
we'll get into that
Yeah,
as we keep
yeah,
going here.
exactly. We got Neil from Hillsboro, who currently
Nice,
lives in Atlanta, moving to Apex. Very cool. Very
very
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm also from Hillsboro, so very neat,
Yeah.
very
Yeah. Yeah.
neat.
Yeah. That's really cool. Welcome, Neil. Um, but but anyway, so um they put out a really interesting story about inventory. And inventory nationwide is up 19%. So when we talk about inventory, we're talking about homes on the market currently that have not sold,
Right,
that
or
are
are
sitting
not
on the
like
market.
under contract or anything, like
Exactly, exactly.
actively being advertised as for sale.
Yeah, so that is up 19% nationwide, which essentially means you have a growing balloon, so to speak, of available homes in the market, 19% more than what you did last year. Now, again, this is nationwide. When we look at our market, it's a little bit different. We actually see less homes for sale currently than we did this time last year. And I'm going to show, I'm going
Yeah.
to pull up a graph here and walk y'all through it. And there's two different terms that we're going to look at. One is essentially um, inventory, and then the other is new listings, because new listings is also fascinating.
Yeah.
But
Keyword
they're
being new. So
yeah.
inventory could be old. It could have been sitting on the market for a long time. And new listings are like things that have hit the market in the month that we're looking at.
Exactly. So one way your inventory levels are monitored is by what they call months supply. So how long of a period of time, if homes stop being listed today, how long of a period of time would it take to work through that amount of homes that's on the market? So right now we're sitting at 1.9 months worth of inventory, which is actually down 13% from where we were last year. So
Really
all that to say,
interesting.
inventory is worse here right now than it was last year. If you look, we can go back here. Inventory in February of last year, 2023, was 2.2 months. Now it's 1.9. So there's a reason for this. Obviously, it's called buyer demand, that there's enough buyers in the market to essentially gobble up that amount of inventory,
Right.
to pull that number down. And we are seeing substantial buyer demand right now. I mean, when you go to a showing right now, sometimes it feels like an open house, and it's
Yeah,
not an open house.
I was at a house on Saturday, and Zach actually went to the same house later on in the
Yeah.
day, ironically. But when we were there, it was, it was like scheduled as a private showing, but it allowed for overlapping. And I think there were like 8 families there at the same
Yeah.
time as us. And we were like just kind of waiting for our turn to like enter into rooms. And it became like a multiple offer feeding frenzy at this one house in
Yeah.
Cary. Not every single house is like that, but that's really what we see. And when you look on this graph, you can see where the month supply of inventory was just nothing. And that was like
Yeah,
during
back
those
in the
pandemic times.
pandemic times.
And it kind of feels like that. Like this month so far in Raleigh, it feels like that every house was like a feeding frenzy, open house kind of feel at every single showing. Back in like 2020, 2021, 2022. And then things kind of changed in 2023 thanks to rising interest rates. But, I feel like we're going to continue seeing this line here trend in the downward position
Potentially
this spring, unless something else changed with the
Yeah.
interest rates, if they continue to rise.
But here's what and here's what really shows the amount of buyer demand that's in the market. So if you look at new listings, so new listings is different in that it just means how many new listings are hitting the market. So obviously, if those get gobbled up quickly, then your inventory doesn't really benefit necessarily from the amount of new listings hitting the market because they're taken so quickly. So
Right.
new listings, this is fascinating. New listings in February were up almost 26% from last February. So
Which is
we're
crazy.
down
We're
in month
down on
supply,
month supply, but up on inventory, which shows you
on
how much
inventory.
faster they're flying off than they
Yeah.
were this time a year ago.
Yep. Yeah, which is really fascinating. So if you look at our area, month supply is down, but new listings are up significantly. We're just seeing those turn over much quicker than they can than I guess they can sit. So
yeah. I mean, they're moving fast. I mean, like the one we were talking about from last Saturday was one of several that I feel like we looked at that weekend that had multiple offers and offer deadlines. So the days on market for a lot of these homes these new listings hitting in March, it feels like these days on market are going to be like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, and what's even more fascinating, so this article on Housing Wire that was put out by Altos Research, one of the points that he makes, and he brings it up as a concern, and that is if inventory balloons too much and there's not enough buyer demand to meet that wave of inventory hitting the market, then you end up with prices softening. So his point in the article was, nationwide we could be reaching a point where there could be some softening, but I mean we're not seeing that in our market right now. Maybe we will. Maybe there's a lag
maybe
effect
there's a lag here. I don't know. My gut
we're
says
not seeing it.
no, because I just think, every market has its own things that make it unique, of course. And I think we're just constantly in like the top 3 of like best places to move to, best places to live, best places to find
we're going to talk about one
employment.
of those here in a second.
So we're just an area that is like just experiencing a lot of like inward migration and stuff like that. And Greg and Jenny from Indiana are tuned in looking in the Clayton area. Clayton is so cool, such a fun and growing area.
Yeah.
They're getting a mellow mushroom pizza place, which is pretty cool.
Well, it's alleged. I don't know if it's for sure.
Okay. Well, they pulled up, they bought property, but it's not been like announced. But that would be, I don't know why mellow mushroom would want to just sit on some land in Clayton. So hopefully they maybe have.
Well, welcome, Greg.
But welcome.
Yeah. So, it will be, obviously it's March 7th. So it is very early on in the year.
Right.
I think at the very first one of these lives that we did in the new year, I'd made the statement that it really won't be until March or April that we'll have kind of a decent understanding of where the market is headed. Cause we'll see it obviously on the ground, but we'll also have some actual data to back up what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And we do now. So, we have seen more listing activity. Just us on a personal basis. I mean, we've had more listing activity for the first quarter of this year than we typically ever have in a first quarter. And buyer demand, just from our perspective, has been substantial. And even on those listings, every single one sold multiple offer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
definitely feeling pretty hot and favoring sellers right now. It's not as bad as the 2021 and 2022
yeah,
of our times, but I think it's trending to be a little more seller friendly this spring than it was in the
yeah.
winter and
And
fall.
what's even more interesting when you add in the layer of mortgage rates aren't better really than and
Yeah.
they're really not. I mean, they finally got back under, a little bit under 7%. We're 6.92 according to Mortgage News Daily. But when you look at last year, and the market and how it was affected by interest rates in the sevens when they even as they peaked into eight. I mean, we're still floating right around seven, but we're seeing a completely different market than what we were. And
Yeah.
some of that is
But
the
7,
seasonality.
I think the difference though is that it's the 7 that has come down from an 8. So like all of our arrows are pointing downward, whereas in the fall it was like 7 and a week ago it was 6. And then
Yeah.
it was 8 and a week ago it was 7. So I feel like there was a lot of like volatility and fear. And like if I start house hunting now, is it still gonna be 8 when I'm finally under contract, or is it gonna change to
Yeah, there
9,
is more
So
stability.
I think it feels a lot more stable. We've kind of been hovering around the same
Yeah.
spot for most of the year. So I
Yeah.
feel like, I don't know if it'll drop as much as like a lot of experts had predicted it would. I think a lot of people thought it would be closer to the lower sixes by, or at least like mid sixes by this point. And we haven't really seen that, but we'll see as summer and everything comes. But it's still, I
Yeah.
think it feels like a safer 7 than
Yeah,
it
and
did in the
and
fall.
and the Fed met yesterday and essentially said we're in no rush to lower the Fed's rate. And so obviously, I, I know like mortgage rates aren't tied directly to that, but it's still, it's a piece to the puzzle. And so
For sure.
um yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyway, it's really fascinating with obviously nationwide inventory is increasing, but our area, I mean, it's really hot. So, if you are in the market for a home right now, my advice to folks that we're talking to is just be prepared. Be prepared for a competitive market. Be prepared for multiple offers.
For sure.
Be prepared to offer over asking to win. Be prepared for high due diligence amounts. We have a weird deposit in North Carolina called due diligence, that we always have to go in depth with folks who aren't from the area. And so,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. And if you're looking in the area and you need help with that, please reach out to us. We would love to hop
yeah,
on a Zoom call with you and kind of go over things like this more in depth so we don't bore you all on our live here with the random information. But we would love to help you out.
yeah. I think is that a monitor going
It's
off?
our baby monitor battery dying.
Okay, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, somehow it's not plugged in. But yeah, so other news kind of happening in the area will kind of shift away from some of this like data and numbers talk here. But I think one of the coolest things happening is like we had mentioned a minute ago, hottest big city for growth, more jobs, money, and people moving to. And Raleigh has made another list.
Yep. You held the fort down while I was turning off the.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all could hear it on your end, but I kept hearing this ding 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 as our baby monitor's battery going dead. Yeah, so Raleigh on this study of essentially what Cindy just said, places with jobs, money, and essentially job growth, salary growth, and moving. So the way that they're looking at this is a couple of things. One, how quickly are wages growing? What does the job market look like? And the moving statistics are how many people are coming in versus how many people are leaving, and what's
Right.
the difference in that. And Raleigh was number one with significant job growth, and we'll kind of get to where they compared it. Significant wage growth, and just a good balance of how many folks are moving in versus how many folks are moving out.
Almost double. It's crazy. For every 100 people moving out, we have 162 people moving in, which
It's
is
wild.
just wild. So, and Charlotte also made the list at number 3, but as always, Raleigh's better. We're number 1. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, the data is the data. I can't, can't.
I mean, Charlotte is a
Just
nice,
kidding.
Charlotte's a
Charlotte's
nice city,
nice.
but
Raleigh's just better.
I like Raleigh better. But yeah, so Raleigh here, I'll show this graph real quick here. So yeah, you got the ratio here, the job growth, and I mean when you compare it, with the job growth, I mean Raleigh ranked right up there with. I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about any of these cities. I don't know a ton about Jacksonville, Florida. I don't know a ton about Las Vegas, but they all ranked very highly in this as well.
Yeah, Las Vegas is really interesting to me because I don't really, obviously I've never really been there before, and I just kind of think of it as like a touristy kind of place. So it's interesting to me how many people would be like moving there permanently.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
like
I know
very
very little. But all in all, it is a rapidly, I mean, Raleigh is consistently, like Cindy said, consistently one of the top areas.
Yeah. On like every list for all the different things.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. But that like this feeds into like when we were talking about the housing data portion of why is Raleigh looking different than some of the the trends nationwide, and it's simply because we have a lot of folks moving here, and there's a good I mean, when you think of a good foundation for an area, you think of wage growth, job growth, different opportunities for folks to move here, and if they did lose their job, they could find another job,
right?
Because there's ample opportunities, and so Raleigh affords that. Obviously, when we're talking about Raleigh, we're really talking about the whole area, so not excluding like Durham or Chapel Hill. Or Cary or any place like that. But Raleigh affords that. And so that's why there's, you have 162 people for every 100 leaving.
It's wild.
You're going to have a hot housing market as a result of that.
Yeah.
So,
and Greg asked, is there a go-to website in the Raleigh area for an effective job search? The normal sites are not great. I don't know. I haven't really, searched for a job in that way. So I don't know. I guess I'm not a great person to ask. I know Zach's sister was just hunting for work and moved to Raleigh, so she might know more. I think she was mostly on places like LinkedIn and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't know like obviously there's Indeed and some of those other websites. I know I think my sister was on LinkedIn a lot.
And I guess it depends on, I mean, if you're looking into like healthcare positions, I'm sure like Duke and UNC both have a huge system here. They probably have their own, job boards and stuff like that. So, and they have non-healthcare position jobs. So those are very large employers in the area. So I might start kind of my Google search with that if I thought I would do something in an administrative role or something in healthcare or higher education. You could always kind of look that way. RTP, there's a ton of companies in the Research Triangle Park. They might have their own job boards through RTP. So you might want to Google that too. I don't know for sure, but that would probably be where I would start.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Yeah. I would definitely check like RTP's website. Or at least the company directory. They have a company directory there.
Yeah. And like I'm sure they have a lot of jobs that aren't just, if you're not into the sciences or the biomedical or engineering, I'm sure they have other administrative roles and different support roles outside of that they're probably always hiring for. So
yeah. All right. Moving to a new park that Raleigh is building. So if you are local to the area, you probably know where Falls Dam is. It's essentially the dam that you have the Falls Lake on one side of it, and then you have the Neuse River kicking out from the other side.
Yeah.
And it's right there. It's in Wake Forest, but it's right there, like on the Wake Forest Raleigh
I think it's
line.
Technically a Raleigh address.
It might be. It's like right there on the line.
Yeah, but we're always like, we always go to it when we're in the Wake Forest area, greater Wake Forest area. But it's a really fun little spot to go hang out at the dam. Kind of has like a little walking path and stuff like that.
I just think of
National
yeah,
Lampoon.
National Lampoons when you said that.
A damn vacation. Yeah.
Um, anyway, so Raleigh owns a good amount of land in that area. This is essentially a map. So, I mean, y'all probably can't see it, but this little thing here says Falls Dam, which is like right here. And if you've ever driven through this when they when they're letting water out, it's really intense looking. I mean, there's a lot of rapids, a lot of white water,
Yeah.
and through there, and you can float down it. Did you float down it with me?
Yeah. Well,
Were
we
you there?
carried our tubes around and walked because there
Okay.
wasn't really enough water in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So we just
I don't remember it. I remember having
across
fun.
the
I don't
rocks.
remember that. Yeah.
I mean, it was fun. There were sections that it kind of worked and then sections that it didn't work.
Yeah.
So.
And so essentially Raleigh is going to take some of this area and turn it into a more developed park. And they're really pitching two different ideas. One idea focuses a little more on trails around the area, which I love trails, but I feel like we have enough
We have
trails,
a lot of trails.
because
We have a
the
lot of
other
trails.
idea is really unique.
Neil said, hot damn, we love floating down the river. This is what everybody we'll just title this show, that damn RDU bunch show.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, so they but the other option is to essentially take the river and add some whitewater elements to it and turn it into basically a place where you can drop a kayak into the water and have like a brief section of the river to do whitewater activities.
Cool. I wonder how brief of a section it would be. What if it was only like 20 feet or something?
Yeah, then it's kind of lame. Now, I don't have the article up. It was on some of the local news websites. When I have those articles up, it like messes up like my browser freezes, so I canceled it out. But anyway, one of the spokesmen for the park was essentially saying that that it wouldn't be like, you couldn't put a raft in it. He's like, he was like, a raft would be a stretch, but you could put a canoe in it. So I don't know. I think this is really cool. This would be really unique. Cool. Raleigh has really nothing like that.
Yeah, it would be really cool because I know we said that Raleigh's better than Charlotte, but Charlotte does have
a
whitewater thing. I think it's all artificial, but
it's amazing.
Really
have you ever been? It's really cool.
I've just seen pictures. I haven't been, but it looks really cool. So this would obviously not rival something as big as that.
No, this would probably.
It would still be kind of cool to have an option where you don't have to drive to Charlotte. So.
Yeah, so the dam is like right back in here, and then the water lets out. And this section here, I mean, when they're letting water out, like it's flowing. Yeah. And then you have obviously the bridge, and then the river continues down. But yeah, I mean, this is already a really neat area. And if you don't know anything about the Neuse River Trail, or the Neuse River, I guess, Greenway Trail, it goes 30 miles. I mean, it goes all the way down to Clayton.
Yeah, I think it might be more than 30 miles, but yeah,
yeah, that makes sense.
It's a lot. It has a lot of trails and things like that. And Robert said, "Isn't that the Riverwalk near Knightdale, a new development? This is in Wake Forest, close to North Raleigh. I'm sure there's probably something that looks really similar.
Now the Neuse, I don't think it runs through.
I don't think it goes to
Knightdale, but there are some sections off of what's that, Buffalo Road.
Yeah.
There's like a little park there and some sections that connect you into the Neuse River Trail. So, but I don't think it's technically Knightdale. I think it's Raleigh, but it is close to Knightdale. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think anything like this that is interesting and new, which this would 100% be. Not that I'm against trails, but I mean, to have some kind of whitewater activity in Raleigh is really cool.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Sure. Yeah, I hope that's the one that they go with. Obviously, I guess trails feels like easier, and it would still definitely be highly utilized either way. But I think this would be fun. They're
calling them concepts. So concept A is Ridgeline. Concept B is the Cascade. So the Ridgeline, I think, is more trail oriented, and the Cascade is going to be more whitewater oriented. But the cool thing is, as well, if you're local, I don't know if it asks you where you live on here, but obviously I wouldn't do it if you don't live here. But you have until Monday, March 18th, and you can go in here and you can tell the city what you want
I love
and what your
that.
priority
That's
is. So
cool.
obviously my priority is going to be whitewater elements, but I don't live in Raleigh
Yes.
either, so I don't think I
Yes.
can vote for it. But
And it looks like it's going to cost money to vote. That's not what this is saying. I think it's
no,
like a
it breaks
percentage.
down. It breaks down. It's essentially saying,
Like
hey, if
how
we
much
add,
percent should we do for
yeah,
each of
if
these
we
things?
add whitewater, this is how much of the budget is going to take.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I don't know why they're doing the dollar instead of just percentage, but
yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's cool, one, that they're giving the public a chance to speak into it, and I think two, that it includes some kind of whitewater element.
yeah.
So
Yeah. I think it'd be really cool.
yeah,
And Earl just said hello, tuning in from Springfield,
yeah.
Massachusetts.
Hey,
Welcome,
Earl.
Earl. I think you had a trip to the area since the last time we
Yeah, I
had a
hope it went
live. So
well.
I hope it went well for you.
Yeah. So all right, moving on from one neat thing to another. So in Durham, they are getting downtown Durham is going to be called the Boulder Garden. It's a bouldering gym.
That's
I've
so
never been to
cool.
one of these, but it's essentially like a rock climbing gym that's going to be coming to downtown Durham. It's going to be near. I think it's going to be near Central Park. So
That will be really cool because there's a lot of like condo development and apartments that are newer close to Central Park. So a lot of people would actually be able to walk to it. And there's a little food hall down there. There's one of those axe throwing places. A
yep.
lot of restaurants and a lot of breweries in Durham are in that little location. So that would be really cool because I think the closest other one I can think of would be like Triangle Rock Club. And I think that's a Raleigh address. So I don't think Durham has anything.
Yeah,
For
Triangle
climbing.
Rock Club has 5 locations across North
Okay.
Carolina and Virginia.
Okay, it does say they have one. Okay, there is one Triangle Rock Club in Durham,
Yeah.
but this this seems really cool and different and unique.
It does. Yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a much smaller experience than what you would get at like the Triangle Rock Club.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's neat. It gives
cool.
It gives that section of Durham, kind of right there around Central Park, is one of my favorite sections of Durham.
It's a really cool part.
You've got a lot. You've got like the food hall there. You've got the farmers market when they're doing it, I think on Wednesday evenings and Saturday mornings. You've got the axe throwing place. The arcade is there too, right? There's an arcade right down the road.
Right there?
Yeah.
You've
got a couple breweries
there's a couple
there.
arcades, but there is one of them.
And now you're going to have
the boulder thing. And I think the difference too, like I guess Triangle Rock Club, and they might have some bouldering stuff, but I feel like that's more like the rock walls where you're rappelling and you kind of grab on to like those plastic fake rock things to kind of pull yourself up. But I think bouldering, there's none of that. So this would just be rope free and I guess not have all of those kinds of things. So definitely an experience that I would never be able to do. I would not get very far off the ground.
No, you wouldn't.
My hands are too delicate for that.
Anyway, I think this is a cool thing coming to Durham. So
yeah, it's different and unique, and it's really cool because I feel like we've been talking a lot about cool new things coming to Raleigh, but we haven't talked as much about non-neighborhood type things in Durham lately, outside of restaurants. So really cool to see some kind of recreational spot coming.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so heading on to this is just an update on the exchange. We talked about the exchange several weeks ago, and it's kind of this like futuristic looking development that's going into Raleigh. If you're familiar with the area and you know where Duke Raleigh is, it's right there by the Duke Raleigh area. So it's got this building. This is like a little bridge that connects to a whole nother building over here. But anyway, what was announced this week is they're going to be having one of these buildings is going to have an 80,000 square foot Lifetime Fitness in it. That's with crazy. A rooftop, what they're calling a rooftop beach club, 35,000 square foot rooftop beach club. And I didn't really know what to think when I heard beach club, especially when it's rooftop. But I did a little Google research. Apparently there's one in Miami and there's one in Atlanta. It really just kind of looks like a pool with some like nice like cabanas around it.
Yeah,
But
it's cool.
it's still
It's
cool.
neat
It's
to
still
have
cool. It's
a
rooftop.
rooftop pool.
Yeah.
That's kind of unique for our area for sure. And Lifetime Fitness, they're just like racking up the real estate in the Triangle because they announced their Holly Springs location, right? That we talked about a few weeks back that they're launching a Holly Springs
Yep.
Lifetime
Yep.
Fitness.
They
So
are.
this will be
Yeah. So
another new like
yeah,
there
they're
already
investing.
is one in Raleigh, but this will be I guess the second Raleigh location, but third Wake County location.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. But yeah, so I thought that was a neat little
Yeah.
thing. Robert said took a trip to Raleigh from Florida and left with a house under contract in Wendell. Very cool.
Nice.
Congratulations, Robert.
Robert.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, Wendell's a really cool area. So
Yeah. And
say
Earl said
rapidly.
his trip to Raleigh was a great experience. People were nice, and he had dinner
Awesome.
at the Morgan Street Food Court, which is a really
Very cool.
spot. They have
Yeah.
so many neat little vendors there. So
Yeah,
good
very
choice.
cool. All right, rounding up at last is I know we hit on this last week, and I was kind of, or was it last week or was it the week prior?
We weren't on here last week.
Yeah,
'cause
that's
they
right.
came
We were
in
on
town.
here last week,
So
but
2 weeks ago.
I guess 2 weeks ago, where I said Whataburger is coming to the area, but they're coming in Fayetteville, and I try to put it off as like, okay, you know, there's a lot of folks who, you know, in the military who are in Texas, and they come to Fort Liberty, and you know, so there's a good market there, and I think that is true. But now they've announced there's one coming to Raleigh, one coming to Durham, and one coming to Cary.
It's crazy. I don't know
So it's
why
pretty cool.
Fayetteville was the first on their announcement
I don't know.
list when they had like 3 other locations. It's kind of weird that they didn't just wait and announce them all together. But you know, Lifetime Fitness and Whataburger, they're just taking over.
Yeah, yeah. So that's exciting. I mean, I can't really say that I love Whataburger. Like when I had the burger, I didn't really love it too much, but but the fact that it's coming here is kind of exciting. I don't know why. It's just exciting.
Yeah, it feels like a cultural thing, you know, because it's such a Texas
yeah.
thing. So now it feels like, okay, we're getting like this new thing that people love. I feel like it would be, you know, so Cookout and Bojangles are like the North Carolina
They are
fast food, you know. So I feel like if Cookout or Bojangles was to go to a state they're not normally in, it would feel the same to those people probably.
Exactly.
And we would be excited about it if we lived there. We'd be like,
yeah,
oh,
I mean, you should be excited.
One.
You should be excited about Bojangles coming to your area.
Oh, it's
if you don't have
time.
Bojangles, then
it is bow time.
Yeah, Bojangles is good. All right, well, that is all that we have tonight. I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
I don't.
Cool.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank y'all for joining, and we will see y'all Next Level joined in. So, sorry, we're wrapping up Next Level, but yeah, it was
Rewind.
Good. Yeah. Glad you could join in. So, but anyway, I hope y'all have a wonderful week, and we will see y'all next Thursday.
Yeah, next Thursday. Right. Oh, and someone just tuned in. Bucky's in Mebane. Bucky's.
Bye,
yeah,
y'all.
It's coming. Bye, guys.